All right, so the game is not officially over yet, but it's over. SMU has lost to Penn State, and Penn State is now advancing to go play Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, and that game is going to be very interesting. And I think even after, especially after this performance from Penn State, I have a lot of interesting takes and a lot of interesting, things I'm gonna talk about when I talk about those two teams matching up. But I'm not going to talk about that yet because this video is not about that game. It's a review of this game. And before I even get into my takeaways, even though for like a blowout, I don't have like a crazy amount, I still have some takeaways. But the main thing I want to say beforehand is I understand that SMU had an absolutely abysmal performance here, but they still deserve to be here. I'm not going to sit here and act like, that they should have never been included in the playoff. You know why they still deserved to have a chance and a shot in the playoff and a shot at the national championship? Because they handled business. All the teams that you are saying should be here instead of them, they did not handle business. While yes, those teams are better than SMU. They are. South Carolina, Alabama, and Ole Miss. Yes, those teams are better than SMU. And I'll probably take all three of those teams against SMU on a neutral site. I definitely would. But my thing about those three teams is, and that's why I want to see none of them complaining or their fan base, is the reason they are in it is because they choked, especially Ole Miss and Alabama. I hate Lane Kiffin has always been an annoying person to me, but seeing how he's been acting these past few weeks about the playoff is kind of crazy, because the reason you're not in the playoff is because of y'all. It has nothing to do with, people not liking the SEC or, oh, everybody's against us. They're not against y'all. Y'all lost at home against Kentucky and you lost at Florida. If y'all would have just split those games, you would be in the playoff. You would. You wouldn't be talking like this. You would not. That's on y'all. Those are two games that y'all should have won. And like I said about Alabama before, your wins are cool. Yes, I love your wins. I love good wins. Your losses matter more. And SMU did not lose any game that it's just like, they shouldn't have lost that one. Yes, they had that loss to BYU, but that's one of those. You can have one of those. Ole Miss, you had two of those, man. You can't get mad about it. Yes, you're a better team than SMU. I truly believe that. But you did not deserve to be here because you did not handle business like you should have. You can't complain about your situation when you're the reason you are there. You're the reason you're not here. So I don't want to see anybody say SMU didn't deserve it, because they did. Now, of course, does SMU being here bring up a problem with scheduling, and how, since we're creating all these super conferences, that sometimes you get very lopsided schedules? Yes, that is a valid point. It's a valid take, and it's something that kind of has to be fixed when it comes to scheduling. And I think it probably will be in these coming years, because I think college football is in a very much a transitional period where a lot of things are happening for the first time. So not a lot of people know how to deal with them, and we're kind of trying to sit here and figure out ways to deal with them, and it's hard because we've never seen anything like this. So I think that scheduling issue will be fixed. That's the thing you should get mad at. You shouldn't say SMU didn't belong because they handle business. But when it comes to this game, the funny thing about this game is my thought process about SMU does not change, or like the way I perceive them as a team. I still think SMU is a pretty good team, because honestly, especially in the first half, SMU was playing well. Their defense was holding up much better than I thought they would, especially against the run, against this Penn State, offensive line and running back tandem. They were actually able to, make Drew Aller think and force him into not some errors, but force him into completions. They were able to really, hone in and just slow down this offense. The thing that killed them is those turnovers by Jennings. And it's so weird seeing a quarterback who I perceive as one of the better ones in the nation, and I still truly believe is one of those, come out and just play so terrible. And I feel bad for him, because this is the biggest audience that he's played in front of all year, and he played so bad. He played absolutely dreadful. Like, some of those picks were just so avoidable. Like the second pick six, where he was rolling out and he was trying to throw it to, I think, an open crosser, and he just didn't see the man sitting right there in the window, basically doing this. I remember seeing it from the broadcast angle. It was like, okay, that looks bad, but it couldn't be that bad. What did he see? But then we kind of see it from his angle, and he just threw it straight to, bro. He did. It's a shame that SMU's team came to play and he did not. Like, I think the final score would not indicate, how well SMU personally played. You would have to have watched this game. But then it's like you can't make these mistakes when you're playing a team as good as Penn State. I believe if we were just ranking teams and we didn't have, automatic first round bye, Penn State may have gotten a bye because Penn State might be one of the 4 best teams in the country. If you look at who they lost to Ohio State and Oregon. 2 teams that we both think can win this whole thing. One team in Oregon that is currently ranked as the #1 team in the country, an Ohio State team that, while right now everybody's down on them, let's be real. And I know I'm an Ohio State fan saying this. Ohio State's one of the best teams in the country. They are. And those are Penn State's 2 only losses, and both of those games were close. Both those games, Penn State had ample chances to win. They just, couldn't do it, and they were just facing, a really talented ball club. But this Penn State team is really good. And the one thing this game showed me is you cannot get down on Penn State. You have to be playing with the lead, or at least close enough to the lead where you don't have to throw the ball all the time. Because the thing about Penn State is they have one of the best pass rushes in the nation, and it's led by Abdul Carter, who is going to be a top 5 pick. It is most likely going to be the second defensive player off the board behind a generational prospect in Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter is really good, and when he knows you're just going to throw the ball, he going to get there. And that's what was happening to SMU. SMU was able to move the ball and move the chains when they were able to do what they wanted to do, which is, tempo, move fast, be able to run the ball. They were able to get yards. Their offense looked good when they had to do that. But when they had to simply pass, and even though they have Jennings, who is a very athletic, mobile quarterback and can get themselves out of a lot of sticky situations, it didn't matter because this pass rush is so nasty, led by Abdul Carter. And that's the thing. That's going to be the key when you're playing Penn State. You cannot get down. You cannot put yourself in these obvious passing situations and think you're going to succeed. Yes, if you're a good enough team, you probably could be able to succeed and should be able to succeed, but it's going to be extremely hard against this pass rush. It's going to be really hard, and that's what Penn State did. Penn State got this game right where they wanted to get them. They got the turnovers, they went up early, and they said, all right, pass rush, go get him. Go give me a Jennings real quick. And, that's what they did. And not to throw shots at the team that won the game in Penn State, but this game, to me, raises questions about how good Oregon's, defense is. And that's because it was hard for Penn State to really move the ball until the second half. And a lot of that was because this SMU defense was tired and honestly probably pretty deflated. Given in the first half, I think they were down 28-0, and it really only should have been 14-0, given Penn State's offense only scored 2 touchdowns. The rest came off of bad pick sixes. So it's like, I think that defense was very much deflated and tired, and that's why, Penn State was able to do a much better job running the ball and doing what they wanted to do. And while I still think this Penn State offense is good and very potent when they feel like it, and has the potential to be really, really nasty, given the playmakers they got have so many unique, areas, and the fact that when Drew Aller wants to be, he is one of those ones. He is a very talented quarterback, but, he got mental blocks. He picks and chooses. He's not Superman all the time. He likes to be more of Clark Kent, which is kind of annoying to me. But it raises the question to me is, how good is Oregon's defense? Is Oregon's defense really that good? Now, of course, another thing that could have factored into Penn State's offense, maybe, having a slow start and not looking as prolific as they did in the Big Ten Championship game, is because of the weather. That weather was crazy. And yes, it was cold, but the cold part wasn't the crazy part. It was the wind. I knew the wind was crazy when Penn State had like a 4th down and 13, deep into SMU territory, and instead of kicking the field goal, which I don't think was that far of a field goal, they elected to go for it and they didn't get it. And I'm like, okay, that means the wind's crazy if you're not just going to sit there and take the points, So yeah, nothing changes about my opinion of either of these teams. Honestly, they both looked how I expected them to look. It's just that I don't think Penn State even played nowhere near their best ball, and they dominated this football game. And I think the Penn State-Boise State matchup is so interesting. I think it's going to be how these teams match up, man. I don't want to get into it right now, but how these teams match up is very interesting. I'm going to be doing these little recaps after all these games. I didn't do it after Indiana and Notre Dame because, honestly, that Indiana-Notre Dame game, it happened exactly how I thought it would happen. Notre Dame came out there and said, all right, we gonna punch you in the mouth. You feel me? We gonna punch you in the mouth. We gonna get up by a little bit, and we gonna make Curtis O'Rourke. We gonna make that man feel entirely uncomfortable, and he's not gonna be able to look, and he's not gonna be able to pilot this offense in the way that he has been all season long. And that's exactly what happened. They got him off his spot. They got him in his head. They got him thinking about the pressure, so he wasn't able to make the right decisions. And Notre Dame, the score of that game does not indicate how well Notre Dame controlled it. It just looks like I think a 10-point win. It was much more than a 10-point win. But yeah, that's really all I got to say about that game. I am also disappointed by this SMU Penn State game because I thought this was going to be one of the more underrated games of the day, but it's not. But I hope this Texas Clemson game is good because I know the Ohio State Tennessee game will be good. Well, also, it don't matter what happens in that game. If it's a blowout either way, it's going to be compelling to talk about because, oh my goodness, somebody may die if that happens. But yeah, I just hope these next few games are better.